Is this thing on? Man, oh man. I hope we are recording right now. So, welcome back. Izzy here from Get in the Bag, where we show you how to get to the bag. On this channel here, we're going to show you how to build a business from the ground up. This week, we're going to be talking about the ATM business. We have other businesses that we're going to be talking about after this, but this week, we want to concentrate strictly on building an ATM business, all right? So, we're going to be looking at startup cost, where to buy your ATM, profits, expenses. I also got my little notes here to make sure I don't forget to tell you anything. So got my little newscaster notes right here. All right, so with this here, I've been doing the ATM business now for about 2.5 years. It's been very profitable, but it's also one thing I want to let people know, this is not 100% passive. You will have to put in some work in order to do this. So let's get that out the way first, all right? Yes, you will have to do some groundwork, all right? So as far as starting a ATM business, how do you do it? Well, it's actually easier than what you think. So the first thing you want to do, obviously, is start an LLC. Now, depending on where you're at, this will vary from state to state. I live here in the state of Florida, so our LLCs here are $140. If you're looking at New York or places like LA, things like that, obviously it's going to be a little bit more than that. All right, so keep that in mind. That will vary. So one of the things that we also want to cover is, first thing you're going to need is going to be your LLC. The reason you want this is obviously so you can start operating as a business, get those tax breaks as a business that you will get, and also cover, put your expenses underneath that as well. So if you need me to do another video on how to create an LLC, just leave a comment below, let me know, and I'll show you how to do that as well too, all right? So, second thing you're gonna need is going to be obviously a bank account. Now, you don't want to use your own personal account because if you have quite a few machines, there's going to be multiple transactions on a daily basis. So banks typically flag that. Any major bank, in my experience, will not deal with you on an ATM business. So I've went to Wells Fargo, been to Bank of America, I've been to Chase, all the major banks. And the reason being is just because of they don't want the liability against them. Also because it also competes with their ATMs. They're not gonna, allow you to compete with them as well too. So what I found is most of the time going to a credit union. For instance, I am using Fairwinds, but I had to go to 3 Fairwinds before one of them actually gave me a yes. So keep that in mind. You all have to bump around. It took me a total of 11 different banks to go to total. And knowing that none of the major ones are going to do this for me versus the credit union. So credit unions are a little bit more flexible on what they can do. So keep that in mind. Now, next thing you want to do is find a location. All right. Do not buy your ATM before you find a location. And the reason being is you want to make sure you actually have a location to put the ATM in as soon as it comes in, versus trying to find it and have it sitting for a couple of weeks and you just spent, this money to buy this machine and it's just sitting there not doing anything for you, okay? So if you see me keep looking down, it's because I'm making sure I'm not skipping over any of my notes right here. So as far as locations, some of the best locations you're going to be looking at, obviously, places that have a lot of traffic. So meaning a lot of foot traffic back and forth, things like barbershops, malls, casinos, strip clubs, tow yards, barbershop saloons, things of that nature. All right. So with that, from there, then once you have something locked in, you're going to negotiate with the owners. So with the owners, what I normally do when I talk to them is I let them know, okay, I see that you have a lot of foot traffic in here. I let them know the benefits of having this machine in there. As a business owner, businesses pay a lot of credit card fees every time somebody swipes the card. So what I do is I just go in there and pitch them, hey, how would you like to save yourself some money on those credit card fees by having a free ATM installed? I do all the maintenance, I refill it, you don't have to do anything. You just have to allow me to put it here. It's gonna save you some money on the back end in regards to credit card fees. And then instead, and some of them I actually offer oh my gosh, what's that called? Some of them I actually offer a profit on. So whatever the machine makes, I typically try to keep it at 20% or less, what I give the owner from what that machine makes, okay? So once you have your LLC, once you have your bank account, and once you have the location set up on where you want to install this, you let the owner of the location know. It's going to take about 3 weeks for the machine to come in and everything set up, obviously, because you're not just going to have it like Amazon Prime overnight or anything like that. So you're going to have some time before the machine gets there. With this, when you buy the ATM, and this is very important, make sure you buy it from a reputable ATM company. So to name a couple, and I'll also put the links down low, ATM Global and National ATM Systems are two of the ones that are really well known. They also help you out with processing as well too, which we're going to talk about in a second. All right. Now, you can buy a new or a used ATM. Either way, I suggest going with a brand new ATM because you won't have any programming or issues with the equipment on it, because some of the equipment on it can fail, and you won't know that buying a used one. Okay. So how much does this ATM cost to purchase? You can find some, they can go up to over $20,000, but for the ones that you have at the little mom and pop shops where it's just a single standing unit, you can get one for around $2,500, which would be the cost for the ATM. All right. On top of that, if you do not know how to install the machine, they will charge another $350 to install the machine, which is something I learned how to do myself to save myself that extra $350, put it right back in the pocket. So there are companies out there that will deliver the machine for you, install it, program it, and do all that stuff for you, but they will do it for a fee. And typically the fee's around $350 in order to do that. All right. Now, as far as with the ATM company that you go with, some of them will already have the contracts in place, meaning little contracts that you can give your clients for when they agree to put an ATM at their location, that you have them sign, and then you just have an agreed upon. I typically do a month-to-month contract. And the reason being is, let's just say the location is not doing well. Let's just say it's not getting as much traffic as the owner originally told me. There's not as many people coming in for whatever reason it is. I can then take my machine and move it somewhere else that is going to be more profitable for me. So keep that in mind. You do not have to keep your ATM at this specific location. If it's not making money, move it out of there. All right. Next, once you sign up with the ATM company, they're also going to send you a W-9 and then also something to fill out for background to make sure that obviously you're not some type of scammer. And so you will have a W-9 filled out and a background check done on you before you can actually start processing. All right. Next, one of the things that you'll have to do, obviously, once the machine is there, you're going to have to be able to put money in that machine. Now, this will vary. Some of those machines will hold up to $20,000. I don't know about you. I don't just have $20,000 laying around. So the way I started with mine is I started with $1,000. Then I seen how busy it was getting, put $2,000. Keep in mind, the less money that you put in it, the more often you're going to have to go there to refill it. So after the first 30 days of transactions, you can get a good idea of how much money is going to be needed in that machine, and then you can act accordingly. So let's just say it's $5,000 over the entire month that was pulled out of the machine. You'll be able to, let's just say you just want to go there twice a month. Put $2,500 in. Once that $2,500 is done, you go back there another 2 weeks, put the other $2,500 in there, right? Now, with that being said, there are some expenses that come along with this, okay? And I'm going to give a breakdown on that. So we've already talked about the startup costs for the LLC. Like I said, in Florida, it's $140. It can go up to $500 if you're in places like New York. The machine itself is going to cost you around $2,500. The installation is going to cost you around $350. And then you're also going to need money to put inside the machine, right? So with that, you're looking at, normally I load up each machine with around $1,000 to $2,000 to start off with, just to see how fast that money is going to be taken out of there and how fast I'm going to have to reload it. All right. So a good rule of thumb is going to be per machine, you're probably going to need between $4,000 to $5,000, including everything. That's for the machine, installation, your money inside the machine, your LLC, and things of that nature to get this business going. Okay. Now that you're out, now that you've spent this money, what is your profit going to be looking like? Is the main question that I get. How much money can I get? Now, I want you to be realistic with this. It all depends on where you're at. All right. If you get a location that has some good foot traffic, typically you're going to have around 8 to 10% people stopping by an ATM machine out of that foot traffic. So let's just say, very simply, you have 15 transactions per day on your machine, meaning you're in a location where you have 200 customers that walk through your location right by your machine. And out of those 200 people, 15 of them will pull money out of the machine, right? With that being said, you're going to be looking at anywhere from $3.50 to $5, depending on what location you're at. Some locations are more. If you're in a casino or a strip club, you can charge up to $8 to $10 per transaction for this. So we're going to keep it simple. We're going to use $4 per transaction. So $15. I'm going to do the math right here for you. $15 times $4. I'm sorry. Rewind. Let's start that over. $15 times $4 per transaction equals $60 a day, right? 30 days in a month. That's $1,800 that you're getting right there, right? Now, you will have some expenses that come along with this. I'm going to give you the breakdown of this. First expense you're going to have is going to be for your internet box, all right? Now, you can use the business's internet, but from my experience, if there's issues with their internet, it's running slow, it's also going to affect the machine, which I've seen it happen before. So I normally just make sure that there's an internet box for it. With that, internet box is going to cost you around, to run internet through there, you're going to be looking at $18 a month for the internet, okay? On top of that, I pay a processing fee of 25 cents per transaction, okay? Lastly, I also pay the owner of the shop. And I said I normally don't want to go above 20%, so we're going to use 20% as the guide, right? So here it goes. You're looking at it. Give you the breakdown here. We're looking at 15 transactions per day, right? Times $4 equals, once again, $60 per day, right? So that's what I have written down right there. Now, with that being said, times that number times 30 days, that gives you $1,800 revenue, not profit, revenue for the month. From that, you want to deduct the $18 for internet. You want to deduct $112 for processing. And the reason I came up with that number, if you're doing 4 transactions per day times 30 days, and you do the math on that, it's going to come out to $112.50. All right. Now with that, what you want to do is you also want to minus $360 from that. And that's going to be 20% of whatever that machine makes. That's going to be going to the owner for them allowing you to have their machine, allowing you to have the machine there with them. Okay. So after you do the math on that, this will leave you with $1,309.50 profit. All right. So you see that right there? So this is just off of one ATM. If your ATM is not doing the numbers you want to, once again, remember you can move it. But as far as starting the business itself, there's a couple things I always tell my guests to look out for. All right. One, once again, make sure you buy a new machine, not used, because I've had problems with used machines. I've had the keypads go out on me. I've had the card readers go out on me where I had to replace them. Thankfully, I was able to do it myself. I know how to do the programming on that. So it really didn't cost me too much more to do that. So I want you to avoid the pitfall of buying a used machine to try to save yourself some money and then end up in the long run having to buy parts for it and paying somebody to fix it for you, which is going to end up being the price of a new machine anyway. All right. So once again, simple breakdown: get your LLC, get your bank account, find a location, buy your ATM after you find your location. After that, they're going to give you some paperwork for you to fill out, all that stuff. Next is you having your ATM delivered and installed. And then lastly, you're going to fill it up with your cash. You're going to sit back, and with that, with whatever ATM company that you're going with, they're going to actually set you up with text message alerts. So what will happen on it is, as soon as money is taken out of your account, you're going to know right away. So the money will be redeposited back into your account. So this is how it's going to work. Let's just say somebody pulls out $100 out of your machine and your surcharge is $4. $103.75 will be deposited into your account because they're minus the 25 cents for processing. You'll see that 24 hours after it's pulled out of your ATM, it'll show right back up in your bank account, and then you just recycle that money over and over again. All right. So you can use the same $1,000 or $2,000 that you put in the machine over and over again, and just keep recycling and making money off of that until you want to move into your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth machine, however many you want to do. Now, if you have any questions or want me to go further in detail on any one of these things that I discussed, whether it be suppliers, the brands of ATMs, how to start an LLC, how to find the bank accounts, how to talk to business owners in order to accomplish putting the machine in their location, leave a comment, ask your questions down below, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. Thank you for listening. And once again, don't forget, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, like, comment below, and tune in next time for a breakdown on what we're going to be doing moving forward. So thank you once again for tuning in to Get in the Bag. And once again, this is Izzy coming at you, showing you how to get this bag.